Okay, sorry about all of that. Fourth will be Tajay Briggs.
Hi everyone. So I'm going to be the facilitator for this session, and during this time, I'm going to go around and ask everyone for comments, or y'all can ask for clarification on something about what someone said or want to do. And for starters, I'm going to ask Colegio, Carol Bore, Mexico City if they have anything to say.
Hello, we have some comments about the plan of action, and we have some questions for each sub-theme. So my classmate Patricia will ask you about sub-theme A.
Regarding sub-theme A, it says addressing the usage of a siphon with a hose arrangement and siphoning off the stagnant water in and around the school. We would like some clarification as to why it only talks of schools and not other public buildings. Thank you.
Can you please repeat yourself again?
It says addressing the usage of a siphon with a hose arrangement and siphoning off the stagnant water in and around the school. We would like some clarification as to why it only talks of schools and not other public buildings.
I'd like to answer this. Partly, the reason for that is partly because of how education affects the whole community. When those being educated, although their lives and well-being is equal to those who are out of school or not educated, when the people being educated have all the things that they need, it creates a better environment and a better future for the community. So that's probably why there's a greater focus on the schools as opposed to other public buildings.
Thank you very much.
Also, clean water brings students to schools, and to address the issue of access to fresh water, our students at South Seneca do something that we call Walk for Water each spring. This raises awareness, and in 9 years we have collected over $10,000 in donations for a well in Juba, South Sudan, to enable their girls to go to school instead of walking for water. We raised awareness about water scarcity and other UDHR Article 26. All children, including girls, have a right to education. So I think part of why it has to do with schools is because if there's water access at schools, then the kids can go to school.
Hi, I have a comment for Karachi. Before lunch, we were discussing about education. And from my personal experience, I feel that education for young women is extremely important. Like our chairman said before, you teach a woman, you teach a village. If the women are educated, they will be more aware of their surroundings, and they will be able to make more informed choices, such as not getting married at an early age. Due to the social barriers that exist in Pakistan, education can set people apart and help to break down these pre-existing walls. I'm from Pakistan, and I feel that women should stand up for their rights and start being independent instead of depending on others. Thank you.
Okay, so does anybody else in Mexico City have any more comments or questions?
Yes, thank you. About sub-theme B.
Yes, about education. I would like to say that I agree with all the clauses that you have put in the how's this called with the plan of action. I would like to say that education is very important for development, and we need to assure that education reaches everyone, and we need to mark the difference between inform and reach. Just saying things may not be enough. We have to be sure that we transmit learnings. Knowing that difference will make development easier. Thank you.
Okay.
We have another thing to say.
Okay.
Yes. About the theme of environmental responsibility in business, we read when you say creating flyers around for our schools and communities, writing on the flyers the harm that sodas could do to people. And we think it's a really good idea, but why we don't do this via internet or people to people? Because flyers are made by paper and this can pollute more, and also we are cutting more trees and we need them.
I mean, we can do either one. If like it doesn't matter, you can do on social media or just post or flyers, anything. Anything's acceptable.
Okay, thank you.
We use YouTube as an example, so we can make commercials on YouTube. So that would be using the internet.
Thank you very much. We have one more question.
Okay.
About the nutrition aspect, we only have a doubt about the point that says urges scientists to research on a super crop that can supply the vitamins and minerals that each human needs. We like that point. However, we would like to know how would this be financed and how will it be distributed, if it can be approached by the cost for everybody.
Anybody else anything? Wait, can you please repeat yourself again?
Yeah, about the point of urges and scientists to research on a super crop that can supply the vitamins and minerals that each human needs. How does this will be financed by and distributed?
Excuse me, from the Philippines, I have an answer to the question.
Go ahead.
So right now, we have this research on a thing called golden rice. It's being done in the International Rice Research Institute here in the Philippines. Now, this golden rice is meant to target the deficiency of vitamin A in women, children, and So this research is currently being done in multi-location field trials in countries like Bangladesh, Indonesia, and Philippines. So that line is stating that we should put more importance to the research of crops like this golden rice that would help in deficiencies in vitamins, especially vitamin A.
Thank you very much.
We have no further questions.
Okay, so next I would like to ask India if they have anything to say.
Anyone has any suggestions, comments on the action plan? India, any comments on the action plan? Comment?
Yeah, we have one. Wait. We have noticed that an important topic, child labor, has been excluded from the action plan. Due to poverty and inability to go to schools, children are often forced to work for survival. This affects their health and also denies them of various rights. We find it important to note that this should be included in the action plan, in the preamble of education.
Are you saying that you would want more laws against child labor, or are you saying that, like, exactly what are you, what do you think should be in the draft? Like, what do you think, how can we remedy that? Because I know we definitely talked about including that because, I mean, child labor is a reality, even if it's an unfortunate one. So what do you propose would be our solution? I think that's the thing that we're not sure about.
We'd like to ask if anyone has any solutions to this, or anyone in their own local areas has anything which can actually be done by students for child labor. Talk about your solution. We don't have a proper solution. For child labor, do you have any solution?
I think the Philippines have something to say. Go ahead.
I'm a Philippines. Student Council last in the Philippines in alliance of resident student councils in the regions in the Philippines has created this information dissemination campaign as Malaya or Freedom of Filipino. Means that inform everybody, youth, about the realities of youth trafficking, especially in children. Which is why the recommendation of the United States to all those who are participating to have this information campaign of education.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Philippines?
Yes.
Philippines, we're gonna have to stop you for a moment. We're not picking you up very well. Make sure that all other microphones, other than the Philippines, are off, please.
Is it okay?
Yeah, okay now.
Okay.
Thank you, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. The Student Council Alliance of the Philippines is an alliance of student councils and organizations in the Philippines. And one of our key projects is that we have the Malaya campaign. Malaya means freedom in Tagalog or in Filipino. Which is why we're in this campaign we try to go to schools in all parts of the Philippines in order to inform them about the realities of child labor and human trafficking. Which is why, based on our example or based on our experience, why not if we can recommend to the United Nations and to all the youth leaders to have the same information dissemination campaign as well, so that it will be a mental youth empowerment and most of all to know the harsh realities of child labor. Because let's face it, some of the students and youth leaders right now doesn't know that child labor is a reality. That's my recommendation. Thank you.
So you are suggesting a sort of awareness program, correct?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you.
Just a moment. We have an email from Pakistan, so I think we're going to share that.
We have recently received an email from Karachi High School in Pakistan concerning child labor. The email says, "Hi, it's Harry again. I have another question regarding education. Pakistan suffers from a problem of child labor. Parents tend to keep their children out of school and make them earn instead. We see children from the age of 3 working on the streets for even less than $1 per day. Our solutions for this problem has to speak to the parents and try to convince to send their children to school, but failure started at us in the face. The parents are poor and cannot afford school fees. Scholarships are awarded and several NGOs also accepted children without fees, but these didn't even cover 1% of the affected children. What do we do about this, as this is a major blockage in our way to succeed?" Does anyone has any question, comments, or concerns of other sites or here?
Yeah, I think this goes back to the problem of the wage. I think the country should the government should increase the minimum wage of the parents, so they could have a stable economic status. So they will be able to send their children to school, or they will be able to provide for themselves, so they don't have to let their children go to work and work for them.
I'd like to comment on this.
Well, I was gonna say what he was gonna say, but so I also feel like I agree with the call of the action plan about maintaining a livable wage for families. I feel like child labor stems from that, so I think that there's a bigger problem than I feel like there's a bigger problem, which is the livable wages. So.
I also want to say that we addressed this in the plan, or at least when we were editing it. I know the education group addressed child labor. I know it's definitely not something that I don't think anyone condones, but it is a reality, like we said. And I think one of the solutions was having like night classes for some children who can't. I don't know which one of you put it in the draft plan, but that was an excellent idea, so that if there's no other way around it, that there could be night classes for kids to at least get an education, and hopefully, then they'll see the importance of education. So that's just kind of putting a Band-Aid on the wound, but it's at least a step in the right direction. And I don't know whoever put that in the draft, but I like that. So yeah.
Can I comment on this? In reply to what the male from Karachi said, we while discussing this, we didn't think that the parents would like to send their children to school, children to work. I'm sorry. It's like they really need to send their children to work so that they can support their families. So a solution would mean letting them work in safe conditions as well as getting them an education also, so that they could become something in life when they grow up. So evening classes was a suggestion to that.
On-site camps. On-site.
And on-site
Bridge course.
bridge courses, which would help them get an education alongside working in the morning, because they really need to do that for their families. There's no other way to support their own families. So a bridge course which could give them employability skills so that they could grow up and sustain themselves along with working while their children as well, was a solution which we put forward.
I also think that I do agree with her. I do think that as well as safe conditions, you should have like a doctor present, so if anything else happens, like if they do get injured, or in a sense that they should have health benefits to safeguard any injuries or anything that should happen. And I do think that because these families are poor, we should provide an opportunity for underprivileged children to have an education.
I believe we should tell parents that they would be...
Go ahead, Philippines. We're not hearing you right now. I don't know if your microphone is on, but go ahead.
All right. I believe that we should tell the parents that they are making an investment by sending their children to school. Because if they send their children to school, when they graduate, they will make more money than they can potentially make when they work while they're in school. Because if they have an education, they will make more money. Because they will get in a better profession than working while they're in school.
Unfortunately, an investment doesn't put bread on the table or water in your cup.
Hello, from the Philippines. As one proposed by our group member, it is being, there is a program being implemented in this country, what we call CCT program, which is Conditional Cash Transfer Program. It is being replicated from Brazil, which is a success story, wherein the government subsidizes parents or family fund or money so that they can send their children to school instead of being entertaining them to child labor. So giving a fund for this kind of program will eliminate child labor as well as encourage the children to attend to classes.
We're sorry, we didn't really pick that up very well.
Okay. Okay. As proposed by one of our group members, the Philippines has success stories the same way in Brazil, wherein there is a program we call CCP, or Conditional Cash Transfer Program, wherein the government subsidizes money to family, or those who are in underprivileged family, giving them money so that they can send their children to schools instead of entertaining them to child labor. So with this program, which is a success story, not only in this country, we can encourage family as well as parents to enjoy their children to attend classes.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but you're proposing that we donate money to families so that their children don't have to work?
No, it's not a donation. It is more of an incentive.
It's government.
It's a government fund.
It's government initiative.
It's a government initiative.
And it's practiced in the Philippines.
It's not only practiced in this country or the Philippines, but this was already replicated in other Latin countries.
So is it almost as if send children to school, and does it work?
Yes, it's working.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Regarding like an awareness program, at South Seneca we have an awareness raising program to prevent child soldiering, and we also make material and cash donations to Ogani, Nigeria village schools, as well as funding the UNIFAT school in Gulu, Uganda. So, I mean, if you donate money to schools, maybe they can like do an awareness program or something, because like at our school we've had guests come and tell us about their experience with child labor and child soldiering. So I think like if some like money or something, if there was like an awareness program that could be made, that would help.
I have a question to India. How are you planning to keep safe the streets for children to go to school? Meanwhile, there is an armed conflict in different countries.
Absolutely. Can you repeat your question, please?
How are you planning to keep safe the streets for children to go to school? Meanwhile, there is an armed conflict in the streets in different countries.
Would you like?
Okay, so we understand that during a conflict, the access to schools is greatly reduced. During because of the fear of going out and the risks of losing life. So in such situations, what we came up with during our research was that volunteers who are willing to help the children, they went to such places where children were displaced during conflict or something, and they set up temporary schools or camps, mobile schools, like with vehicles with books and other stationaries, which they gave to children. They went to their homes or the nearby areas and they gave them such books and worksheets where they studied without going to schools or places where they had a problem or a conflict. And through such programs, a lot of children were able to reach. They were able to reach out to a lot of children, and they actually benefited from the program. And about the awareness program which we were just mentioning about earlier, I have something to add on. In Pakistan, there was this program by United Nations called United Nations Girls Education Initiative, where they have volunteers from the community, and they call them young champions. They train them on the methods of communication and how to spread awareness. And such young champions, they went out to the community, to the parents who are unwilling to send their children to school, and they were able to enroll a lot of children into the nearby government schools and other facilities. So this was an example, a true example of awareness program that benefited the children through efficient communication, where you can tell the parents about the benefits of getting a good education.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to add on to what you said about United Nations Girls Education Initiative program. I think it's one of the greatest programs that has been provided by the UN for several people regarding their education concerns on a global scale. And I also really like Mackenzie's idea of like nighttime classes, because I have lived in Pakistan and I know that I had children working in my house, but what we did was we educated them as well. So they did work during the daytime, and whenever they were free, they came to my house. My mom sent them to school, and they got the education they needed, and they still actually are. So for some families, they want their children to continue working, but there are many ways to educate them, like tutor them in your free time, send them to a close-by school. It's like the options are pretty, broad for them. Yeah, thank you.
So India, do you have any more comments?
Yeah, I'm from Sub-Theme A, Sanitation and Clean Water. I had read the action plan, and I think that the living standard of rat pickers should be addressed in there, as they are some of the most vulnerable and affected people, as we have 1.5 million people who are rat pickers in India, and most of them are children. they're normally affected by tuberculosis and cancer. So I request the draft leaders to include it in the action plan.
Explain.
I'm sorry. What was it that you wanted to include in the action plan?
I request you to add that the living standards of rag pickers should also be considered as one of the major issues in sanitation and clean water.
Living standards of what? Sorry.
Rag pickers.
Rag pickers.
Rag pickers.
Explain the term. Explain the
Rag pickers.
Rag pickers.
People who pick up the garbage. People who go to garbage dumps and pick up garbage. Garbage collectors.
Sorry, language barrier.
Apologies, sorry.
What are they called?
I don't know. Is there any official?
No, there's not.
So you want to raise the standards for civil workers?
Not civil workers. You know, we have huge garbage dumps, and you see small children going there and picking up garbage from there in all those in the midst of all hazardous waste. They're affected. They're prone to a lot of diseases.
To make a living,
And they try to find useful items from the garbage and sell them to make a living. So these people are prone to a lot of diseases, and we think that their issues should also be addressed.
Okay, thank you. Noted. Sorry about that.
Would you like to add anything else? Do you have any more comments? Or
thank you.
Talking about awareness, we discussed at the conference the other day how social media is such an integral part of our generation and how we're going to change the world. And we talked about ways to spread awareness that way. So really, no major change can be done if the world doesn't know about it. So does anyone have any thoughts or comments about how we would spread these ideas?
Hello? From the Philippines. Okay, I'm thematically providing a discussion on social media and spreading awareness, information dissemination, and campaigns, whether this may be through flyers or internet or social media. It is important that we consider the dialect of those people and make the content of this information specific to the dialect specific, short, so that it will be more inclusive, especially for those countries like the Philippines, which has a lot of languages, and also in India and even Mexico, I think, so that more people can understand and own the information they're getting from these mediums.
So I guess then what you're using is that at a community level, what you're saying, so like the people in the community understand, you know, their community and the language and everything, so that, okay, awesome, so that we at a local level, like at your school or, you know, wherever you are, you understand your surroundings the best. So I guess it's kind of a call to local action. Thank you.
Okay, so next I would like to ask the Philippines if they have any comments.
Comments, Philippines.
Yes, we have some comments.
Hi. We have a comment. Hello. With the NTS, this is a comment for this operative clause regarding the clean drinking water for all policy. It is just a suggestion that We integrate the aquaponics system, which will be explained by Mr. Delegate.
Excuse me. Can you please repeat yourself again? I didn't hear you well.
It's a comment regarding the operative clause in India, wherein they want to adopt a clean drinking water for all policy, wherein we want to suggest a program regarding an aquaponics system, which will be explained thoroughly by my co-delegate.
Hi. The aquaponics system basically is a filtration system that revolves around the use of plants, soil, and fish to filter water. But at the same time, as compared to the oyster system, the proposed system earlier, where the largest benefit that you get is filtered water. The aquaponics system offers benefits with agriculture, since you have capacity to grow agricultural crops such as corn while filtering water. Did you get that? Yeah.
Yes, we understood. Can you talk more about what kind of plants would be used in this system?
Cabbage, lettuce. This system has already been tested in multiple schools in the Philippines, so it's in use at the moment.
We're asking what type of plants.
For examples of the plants, we have cabbage, lettuce, those type of crops.
And what was its effectiveness?
It's in use because it's quite effective.
That's excellent to hear.
Are there any other comments from the Philippines, or does India have a response?
Yes, Philippines.
Don't say that.
Yes, I have a comment for the subject of sufficient and food security. One of the operative clauses here state that concerned by the fact that no national level success stories have been reported in the past 33 years. This statement alone is very broad. I hope that the other delegates who drafted this statement would give us an explanation on what this statement is all about. I will repeat the statement. Concerned by the fact that no national level success stories have been reported in the past 33 years. So we need some clarification or a very specific example of this so that we may understand clearly this statement. Thank you.
Philippines, I'm really sorry. It seems that you have a lot of noise around the mic and we're not picking up very clearly what you're saying. I think that might be the issue. I don't know if you need it more directly in front of your mouth or something. I'm very sorry, but if you could repeat that just one more time.
This is a comment on the food and nutrition and food security. There's a provision in our action plan that says, concerned by the fact that no national level success stories have been reported in the past 33 years, our delegate from the Philippines thinks that this is too broad, and if other delegates from India or Mexico or from the United Nations would like this to be retained in the action plan, may we ask for clarification or explanation of these statements?
I'm sorry, what has not been recorded in the past 33 years?
That's the question. That is the very specific phrase that we want to ask. That it's already in our action plan right here, but we don't know the exact meaning of this because it just states that no national level success stories have been reported in the past 33 years. So there is.
Okay, we understand now. Would the draft team be able to clarify over the microphone?
We would like to comment on that point. So, during the past 33 years, the national level success stories have not been reported for the problem of obesity in India. Is that clarified? Is that clarified?
Can you clarify again? What? Excellent, thank you.
Okay.
So, are there any more questions or comments from the Philippines?
Yes, ma'am. Question about the environment and sustainability. It is a question of appeal and encouragement in the business sector. The purpose of business is profitability. So how are you going to make companies strictly comply with this environmental sustainability system? What will be the consequences or punishment if they refuse to be involved with? Even if the business will not follow the rules in environmental sustainability, consumers will continue to patronize their products because some of those are necessity. So can someone out there comment on this? Did you get it, guys?
We're sorry, you're not coming through very well. Could you slow down your speech?
It is a question of appeal and encouragement in the business sector to comply with the environmental sustainability system. The purpose of business is profitability. So how are you going to make companies strictly comply with this environmental sustainability? What will be the consequences or punishment if they refuse to involve with? Even if these businesses will not follow the rules in environmental sustainability, consumers will continue to patronize their products because some of those are necessity. So can somebody comment on what will be the punishment if these businesses will not comply with the global environmental sustainability system?
It's for businesses who don't comply and like how we can effectively keep the codes and stuff. Is that what? Sorry. Okay. Awesome. Wonderful. If anyone has anything to say to that, go ahead.
It's probably often cheaper and easier for companies to not follow these codes, obviously because they do it and they break a lot of these rules. If the government could somehow promote them in a way that lets people know that they're helping the environment and they're helping the world, and if we offered some sort of incentive for these companies that are doing what is right, maybe eventually all the companies can get on board and the companies that do follow the code become more popular and are more successful than the companies that don't.
Thank you.
We like to add to that. When the companies follow the environmental sustainability projects, automatically they get advantage. Like if they follow proper technologies which have low wastage, which reduce the effluence, automatically the waste disposal cost will be less, and also the government can give incentives like. If the companies follow environmental practices, the government can give incentives and they can give tax holidays. Thank you.
I also feel as though if the companies who do not comply with said regulations, that they should be punished in a way, so that so other companies will get the gist and understand that when you don't follow these rules, something will actually happen. Because when they do not follow these rules, no action is being taken to say, well, you're doing something wrong. Here's what you should do to change it.
See, the problem that we're facing there is that companies can easily just move to a different country that has less strict punishment. So I think that it has to be incentive-based as opposed to punishment-based, so that they want to stay in that country with, say, for lower tax or some incentive.
Excuse me, I have a doubt regarding the action plan of environmental sustainability in business. And since it has not been edited up till now, can we assume that all the points that we sent to you are included in the action plan?
Have they been edited or not?
Draft team, do you have any comments? It is being edited currently, and we will have a final report to you soon.
Thank you.
We have another email from Karachi. It says, "My name is Sarim Ahmed. I'm from Karachi High School, Karachi, Pakistan. My question is regarding lack of environmental sustainability in urban areas. In most of these areas, people don't get fresh water or food. They don't have proper houses, and the urban population is too much. Many diseases generate from these areas because of improper hygiene. Many schemes were introduced, like urban agriculture for growing fresh fruits and vegetables, and self-development for building proper houses for the urban population. However, all of these ideas lacked in funds. My question is there any other solution to this problem?"
Are there any comments from the video sites?
Hygiene in rural areas.
Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
So the question was if there are other solution to the problem of agriculture and fresh fruits and vegetables that in urban areas provoke diseases.
Oh, okay. Okay, so this is also a problem. I remember I went to Chicago this summer, and this was an issue that a lot of people in the city did not have access to the nutrients they needed because there was no fresh fruit or vegetables. And their solution was through nonprofits and other organizations. They started urban gardens in neighborhoods that were cultivated by volunteers. And that's definitely a good idea. I think in the email she said there wasn't enough funds. Is that what she said? So I guess that's another issue that we would have to tackle. Though urban gardens are a wonderful thing, how are we going to get the money to do it if, in places of conflict or in places where nonprofits can't reach? So are there any ideas or comments on that?
We have a comment on that. We thought we could include the idea of terrace gardening in urban areas. So it's basically gardening in our own homes.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, it's already being done in many places.
We would like to add to that.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. It is also quite a new thing that has been done in Mexico. It's just the rooftop terraces. So all of the people that live in a certain area or in that building all contribute into watering, planting, and financing the rooftop garden. And it turns out being even more inexpensive than it would be if they bought it at the supermarket. Thank you.
That sounds like an excellent idea. Thank you.
Sorry.
It's okay.
We have also implemented that at our school with pretty good results. Thank you.
Do you think that it would be a good idea to have that happen in schools as well, so that schools with family, like even in wealthier countries, I know our school has people who don't have food security, so that maybe we could implement it at schools, and that could also be a way to teach young kids about environmental sustainability while cultivating the garden, and then maybe whatever families need it, they can take it from that garden. Would that be a good amendment to the plan, maybe?
Yes, we agree. To add to that, I think having gardens in the school in these areas is also a great way for parents to send their kids to school. We talked about that earlier, how to get parents to send their kids to school instead of going to work or in addition to going to work. And the promise of having fresh food when the children return home is, I think, would be a great incentive. Thank you.
Can we add here from the Philippines?
Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I think it's already a success story in the Philippines because as of this moment, there are a lot of government schools that are already implementing this. Like they teach the kids how to plant trees, and they have a certain subject called agriculture, wherein in the school they teach the children how to plant or till the soil. So it's not very hard because if kids can do it, they can bring it at home. And so, in the bigger communities and even in the urban areas, they can implement it as well. Because if our country can do it, I believe other countries in the world can do it too.
Thank you.
I have an addition to the her comment, where in our school, when I was in high school, we had this program called hydroponics. It's a class where they teach you how to plant plants through the hydroponic system. Maybe we could implement that in our schools and teach students how to plant through the hydroponic system. Maybe it can be an effective way to grow plants.
Thank you very much. Draft team will definitely pick that up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so does any more of the Philippines have any more comments or questions?
Yes, we have a question from the education sub-thing.
Okay, so next is us, the U.S. student delegates. Do y'all have any questions or comments? Okay, go ahead.
I have a question regarding.
Wait, sorry, Philippines. Did we miss one of you?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, your camera is not working. Sorry, go ahead.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Upon checking the draft resolution papers, only the Philippine delegation sent their drafts for education. So we were wondering, where can we view the draft resolution of the other countries?
Is it the updated action plan and
Sure.
Sorry, what are you saying again? Something about the draft plan? There's no. What do you want to view the resolutions of where?
Upon checking the updated version of the draft plan, it's only the Philippines who submitted their education plan. And we were wondering, where can we view the educational plan of Mexico, India, and all these other countries? Because we can't comment on their draft plans because it's not visible.
Okay, well, you're talking about the education sub-theme?
Yes.
Okay. We, on Friday, the education sub-theme, the leaders got together, and what we did, there actually was, India submitted their ideas, and there were some ideas, I think, from Mexico as well. What we did is we went through them and edited them and combined them all together. I'm not sure if that's what you're asking, but then we also came up with solutions there too, so I don't know if maybe you're not seeing them, but we took out, we made it all into one. We didn't separate who said what. We edited them and changed them. So the resolutions are there as well. We took from all the people who submitted. So solutions and everything you submitted, there's something there.
Yes, we consolidated all the submissions into one master list.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Here. Sorry, one more question.
It's not really questions comment on the education platform that's been consolidated. I noticed that in the draft platform, there's no proposed curriculum on disaster mitigation, adaptation, and preparedness strategies, which is why the Philippine delegation would like to recommend to add an operative clause regarding comprehensive curriculum on disaster mitigation, adaptation, and preparedness strategies in school curriculums, perhaps in line with adaptation to climate change, and of course, other possible natural hazards that may occur in the whole continent. Can I repeat it? No. Can I repeat it?
Sure. Yeah, you repeat it.
Excuse me, can you please clarify on that?
Okay, I read the draft action program on education. I commend the body for having proposed solutions on natural disasters, but I haven't seen any proactive stance. For example, how can we make sure that students or the youth leaders will know what to do during a disaster to prevent any possible disaster, which is why the Philippine delegation is recommending comprehensive curriculum about disaster mitigation, adaptation, and preparedness strategies.
So are you saying like have evacuation drills and like safety, like things like that, like to like if a disaster were to happen, you would know what to do? Or is that what you're talking about? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, that's one of them. The other part is that first looking at the nature of the disaster or the nature of the hazards. For example, what is an earthquake really? Some people are confused what an earthquake is. In the Philippines, when Typhoon Hagin came, there was this confusion between a storm surge and a tsunami. They don't know which is which. What is a storm surge? What is a tsunami? And you don't want other countries to experience the same thing of confusion, which will lead to wrong decisions. Which is why we are recommending to all the delegations to have a comprehensive curriculum. I don't know if it will be hosted by the United Nations or what, or an international body, in order to create a comprehensive curriculum on disaster mitigation, adaptation, and preparedness strategies.
Thank you.
Just clarifying, just for me, I'm not sure. You are recommending educating people on disaster preparedness, correct?
Yes.
And knowing what disasters are?
Yes, the nature of the disasters, and what can be done in order to mitigate, prepare. Preparedness is prevention is better than cure. That's the principle. So you have to find a way in order to educate people what to do, like forest fires in Australia or earthquakes somewhere in Southeast Asia. We're not quite sure, or tsunamis in Japan. So we need to create a comprehensive curriculum with that, so that people of all races, of all religions, etc., will know what to do afterwards, or during, and before.
Okay, thank you. We have a comment over here. Go ahead.
I agree with what he's saying, but we should also, there should be like evacuation camps, so not that they should just know what to do, but where to go, if there's certain resources available at a certain place or location.
So we would like to add to that. We discussed the possibility of having activities like mock drills and mapping, so where students are made to map out their surroundings so that they know about the hazards or the best escape routes near their own in their own locality, and also that teacher training programs be included, because during some emergency or a conflict or a natural disaster in schools, the first thing that students look up to are the teachers themselves, and as role models or inspiration. So the teachers have to be taught how to be prepared during such an emergency, so that the students also benefit from that and can be led to safety. Yeah.
Thank you. Comment over here.
Okay, well, as a part of the editor team, I know we do address
implementing mandatory emergency drills for conflicts and natural disasters. And we also have in there teaching lessons about the specific environment you're in and being able to understand all the different types of natural disasters that could happen in your specific type of environment.
So I think that addresses what the Philippines were saying. Thank you very much. Does anyone else have any comments?
Hi, Mother Philippines, something A and Asian Water. This is a comment or a question rather to India. So okay, can you hear me? Okay, we're really interested of all of your operative clauses. So there's this one which really took our interest, wherein you encourage people to use ecosystem toilets, where separate pieces urine and wash water, which further channels urine and wash water to your surrounding soil and convert pieces to compost through dry sealed storage, wherein the students create awareness by putting up posters, street banners, inform our neighbors, relatives, friends of how ecosystem toilets are great for keeping environment clean. We want to know how effective this was, or have you already accomplished it, or this is only a plan wherein we want also to know how are we going to do this in our country? How do you suggest to do it? We do it in our country.
Can you repeat the question again?
Wait. You got this point?
Can you?
Okay. We're interested with your operative clause. Okay. Can you follow? Okay. We're interested in your operative clause wherein you want to encourage the use of ecosystem toilets, where the urine is collected separately and utilized for farming, and the water used for washing is utilized by drainage for kitchen gardening. So we want to know how effective this is, and we want to know how can we do it in our country.
That's a question for India then?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, India.
In eco-science technology, this solid waste and liquid waste, they both are collected separately, and solid waste is converted into compost, and liquid waste is used for irrigating the fields.
I believe they wanted to know about the effectiveness of this technique.
How effective has it been?
How good is it?
How good is it?
Yeah, it is effective, and the water needed is very less, so it is effective in the areas of water scarcity.
It's effective in places where water is scarce.
Okay.
Explain how again.
Because it's less water intensive. Sarah, why don't you explain? So separate. Okay. So it separates.
Follow-up question because this is
The technology uses less water.
a follow-up question.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you set this up? This is quite a complicated project for everybody or for places where you want to implement it. So who's gonna set this up? The ecosystem toilets is gonna make this possible.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
I can't hear you. When you want to implement other countries, is it here?
India, turn your microphone off India, turn your microphone off just so we can hear the Philippines, and then you can turn your microphone back on. Thank you.
Where is it?
Go ahead, Philippines.
Okay, for the ecosystem toilets, we want to ask who funds it and where is it implemented? That's all.
Bangalore.
It's implemented in Bangalore.
City called.
It's a city in India, it's Bangalore. Who put it there?
Why?
Huh? Stop. Stay. Who put it there?
Government of India has implemented. Government of India has implemented this ecosystem technology in Bangalore.
All right, any more comments from New York here?
Okay, so I have a question from someone from Karachi. In sub-theme B, there was a small section about the urban agriculture, about teaching people how to grow food in their own homes to get fresh food full of nutrients, as vegetables they can get from markets are around several days old. But the problem that arises in the climate of Karachi forbids several fruits and vegetables to flourish. Most of them are transported from other provinces. What do we do about this? Thank you.
That sounds like, so are they saying that there's nothing can grow there? Or, I mean, I guess the solution would be to find out what grows there and then grow it. You know what I'm saying? Instead of, I mean, I'm not sure. I think we would need more context to adequately answer that. So, anyone else want to say anything to that? If not, if there are any other comments from New York.
Okay, so I have a question regarding armed conflicts. Many children are left without parents because of civil wars, and some of these children are recruited to fight. But maybe they want to study, but there's no place to go to study, or if they find a refugee camp, they will not live as they deserve. So what do you all propose?
There should be programs to encourage young children to want to learn. And so if there are programs that can be started to implement such, then maybe they wouldn't have to go to fighting if they really do want to study. So that would be a successful solution to that.
Oh, may I make a comment about growing food in Karachi? A little bit of research has shown me that a good amount of fruit trees will grow in the climate of Karachi given if they are potted, and a lot of dwarf trees.
And I just did a little bit of research, and it said in recent years they've been working on the soil and learning how to properly treat things. And it says onions, potatoes, and tomatoes have gained extreme economic importance. So that's just the beginning. But maybe once more people are educated about how to farm and how to really plant these crops, even more crops can become popular and important in the economy. Thank you.
I would answer the one about the war thing. So basically, that's why we suggested the psychologist to be there, because we believe that the environment and the conditions around them really affect their priority. So for kids who are living in war zones, their priority would be survival, not education. So I think we think that would be really important for the psychologists to get involved in and actually cure the traumatic experiences that they are experiencing. And then after that, then maybe their priorities they could think about something else rather than surviving through those therapy sessions, I guess.
So you're kind of going back to what we were talking about before lunch about the psychologists and everything. So I guess that could definitely be a solution.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think about the war. I think what's that? There should be more government regulations over what's the age limit that can go to a war. I mean, if the children are really young, it's very immoral, or it's very cruel to send them to a very like a warlike place where they can die and they can be subjected to many harm. I think there should be a more government involvement in whether to send adults into the war or children.
And I also want to add something to that. In the education sub-theme, we were talking about how like conflict resolution, and how in schools we should foster that at a young age, foster a peaceful attitude, and how to adequately deal with problems, because it starts very young. Because and I think that's really important, because when children are at that vital time in their life, if there are programs implemented to teach them peaceful ways of resolution, then that'll start to foster a generation that, you know, can deal with their problems instead of having conflict all the time. Now, I mean, that's easier said than done. However, getting kids into schools and having those kinds of programs could definitely be a solution. I think that might have been put in the draft plan. I'm not sure. Any comments on that?
The problem with that thinking, though, is oftentimes these child soldiers are effectively slaves. They don't have a choice in whether or not they have to go to war. Once a country has descended into anarchy, the whole morality and ethics sort of go out the window.
We would like to add on to that. Another solution would be to identify the areas where conflicts happen, and to identify the children who are going to be affected, and, you know, maybe evacuate them from that area to a safer place, a temporary safer place. And there's also another initiative by different groups, especially UN. They have negotiated with the militant groups to release the children, at least, so that they can provide them with educational and other skills for employability. Thank you.
Thank you. So like an intervention kind of program. Thank you. Go ahead, Philippines.
I would like to cite an example in the Philippines. Right now, there's a war going on in the region. And despite the war going on, there are still kids who are able to have an adequate education because of volunteer projects and women who are taking the initiative to teach their young kids. So that's actually a possible adaptation, or it can be adopted to what was asked earlier regarding education in the midst of our conflict.
Thank you. And I think there was a comment over here that we missed earlier. Did you still have a comment? It's okay. It's okay. Does anyone else? Go ahead.
I have a question relating to the education sub-theme. For Rule 19, it says that schools should set up networks. You just went off. Am I on? Yeah. Okay. It says that schools should set up networks in order for children to have resources such as textbooks and workbooks, as well as worksheets, to have education. How are we going to implement such?
I'm on the education sub-theme, and that was something we discussed, and it was kind of like a network so that schools could work together and kind of share resources. It would be kind of a local network set up between schools.
And I think we talked about it like e-textbooks and things like that, so that schools could kind of, like sister schools, whether it be in the same country or not, the schools could kind of share resources so that they could transfer back and forth, especially with the internet being at our disposal. Obviously not everyone has access to the internet, but for the schools who do, that could definitely be a good thing so that resources are not wasted.
Actually, in Korea, there's this company that actually provides like a tablet, so it has like an app with all these like educational things, and they have been donating those tablets like all around the world, such as like in Nepal. Apparently, like 2 weeks ago, they donated the tablet to like some public schools in Nepal, and also like some this university in the Philippines also has this tablet, and they take college admission tests, and they have like textbooks, so even those people without electricity could actually have an access to those tablets. Yeah, so that's another solution.
Hey, thank you. There was a comment over here. Go ahead.
But yeah, for textbooks and other resources for schools, last year for UN, my topic was on education. I forgot the name, but there are a lot of organizations you can find online. You can donate to them and help them to provide the resources for the schools.
Yeah, we like to comment. In our school, we have a campaign called the Omega Giveaway campaign, where every year students collect books, notebooks, and stationery items, and even school bags. And at the end of the year, we go donate it to the nearby government schools or NGOs, which are put to very good use.
Wonderful, thank you. We have a comment over here in New York. Go ahead. Press the little button. Good.
About the war environments for education. India said the mobile schools. Well, I'm suggesting that they go to war sites where children are soldierly enslaved and do the same nighttime education. Maybe that's an idea.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, in our action, our draft plan of action, under clean water and sanitation, we have something that says welcoming volunteers help nearby schools. One can be all for girls, girls going global. While that is something that's very important and necessary, how do we expect to start these programs in these masculinist cultures that are about empowering women without getting the backlash of violence? Malala, for an example, she was amazing, but so many people could have been hurt, so many people, she was almost killed. So it's hard to balance because doing good is going to cause a lot of bad. Thank you.
Excuse me. No, she can't. Wait. Oh, we have another message from Karachi. It says, some very important crops cannot be grown over here like cabbage. Also, the crops that are grown here, for example, tomatoes, are not that much nutritious. They are weak, as we call them. My family has tried and failed. And do y'all have any comments to that?
I feel like it's about adaptability, so I feel like if there are certain crops that can be grown in that region, then you should try to grow those and like adapt to it for now until further research is done to improve the climate.
No, that's not the problem. The problem is this is a matter of survival. It's not a matter of adaptation. Dates. I know that dates have been an important crop. If you could get back to us on the effectiveness of dates as a food crop, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to. I want to go back to what she said. I felt it was really important because I think it's a very if it's not a permanent, but it's a very could be very successful temporary solution to what we discussed about the war. I think even though the children wanted to kind of study, they are forced to go to the war and stuff. And someone in the Philippines also mentioned that during a wartime, it's the priority is safety, and it's like so if they are going to war, they should be like if the children wanted to study. And I think the mobile schools and the nighttime teaching. It can be very effective, and it will benefit both sides. It will guarantee safety for the war and also give the children the chance to study. And also what I think the books, I think the school resources and everything. There's an organization, I think I forgot the name, but where teachers can sign up. And teachers can teachers can write what they want to do with the materials and list the materials online, and people will come together, like organizations will come together to provide the materials, and later the teacher can kind of like take pictures of the students doing it, take pictures of the results, and just post it online, and
Going back to what you said with the war camps and like the teachers going in and educating in like night schools and stuff. The only issue with that is how can we ask teachers or people to risk their lives to go into conflict zones to teach these kids? I'm sure there would be people willing. However, with them being war zones, I don't know if it's logical, realistic to ask people to risk their lives to do this. I think maybe we should focus on somehow getting them out of there, or having refugee camps, and there they can be educated instead of sending people into the line of fire. If anyone has any comments on that, just let me know.
I think that finding volunteering teachers is not the only problem, but also the children there. For studying, you need a proper ambience, a proper environment. You can't be in a conflict-zone area and expect children to concentrate on studies. So, like you said, the main focus should be to get them out of that situation, and then put them in a proper place where they can actually focus on what they're being taught.
Thank you. We have a comment from the draft team.
I'd also like to comment that people around the world go into war zones and conflict areas all the time, especially from the UN. So I don't believe that it's illogical for someone to go in and help the civilians that aren't a part of the conflict but are in those conflict zones.
We have 4 more minutes, and I think the Philippines have been dying to say something. Go ahead.
I just wanted to comment in connection to the war zones and children. There is a country that has been in war, that has not, over a generation, that has not seen peace, in the country of Afghanistan. So I'm wondering what they have done to adapt to this particular circumstance, which is, can you imagine about, if I'm not mistaken, it's 1975. They have been in war. So do we have a generation of children that are, how literate are they? I mean, we can learn from them.
See, the thing is, they haven't adapted. The country is as close to anarchy as the earth has ever seen, and it's horrible. There is a lack of literacy. There is a disempowerment of women.
Sorry, you were saying something?
I just wanted to get that perspective out. So it's just established that do we have data? Because I know, for instance, that they have continued. I attended a seminar wherein there are women in Afghanistan that have actually become entrepreneurs and become successful and have been able to live in conflict situations, and that's something that's very hopeful. But still in all, obviously, children are marginalized because they are not in a peaceful, safe community.
Right. And with groups like the Taliban and with terrorist groups, I think that's one of the hardest things to even talk about, because you don't even know where to begin, because there's no solid ground, there's no foundation. So you have to go to the root of the problem and sometimes you don't even know what that is. And so I think that's an excellent topic. Unfortunately, we don't have time to delve into it, but thank you for bringing that up, especially in places like Afghanistan with conflict constantly. Okay, we have.
Hello.
Okay, go ahead.
I found the data on the CIA website. Currently, the female literacy rate is 12.6% in Afghanistan. If that doesn't send a message, I don't know what does.
Go ahead.
I feel like another option could also be online schooling, like kind of something like we're doing today. Maybe have the kids in like the dangerous areas go to like youth centers in their community, and maybe have like find teachers willing to webcast their classes, kind of, and have it accessible to online places everywhere that the kids are.
All right, one more comment, and then unfortunately we're going to have the final comments. Go ahead.
Okay, this is a question. In war zones, like, safety becomes a main concern, and the internet becomes a vital source of communication. But how is it possible to gain awareness or for educational purposes teach in areas where the internet does not exist, or where it has become unavailable, or where people don't use it?
Does anyone have any comments for that? Go ahead. Go ahead.
The fact that we know the problem and the schools around the area know the problem, because people who do have social media can at least try to go to the areas that don't have internet and volunteer there as schools are trying to.
Fascinatingly, I am aware of two projects, one by Google and one by Elon Musk, founder of Tesla, to bring worldwide satellite internet. Google through a thing called Project Loon, which uses a series of balloons that carry Wi-Fi antennas.
Okay, I'm really sorry, but we're gonna have to cut that off.
I like just a quick addition to that. In places where there's no social media, I mean the internet as such, the program I talked about, United Nations Girls' Education Initiative, it used other forms of communication such as radios, newspapers, things which are reaching out to people, other viable solutions other than the internet and TV.
Thank you. Okay, my sincerest apologies, but we are really running out of time.